this is Socially Triggered, and this video is going to be about a whole bunch of fun things, all surrounding a very interesting little flower called the poppy. Recently, there was a story that kind of made the waves of media that was about a girl who was suspended from school for not wanting to wear the rainbow poppy. Now, had the story just remained at that, it would have been interesting on its own, because it's crazy that there's this push for, LGBTQ RS blah blah blah, whatever letters we might want to come up with, poppies. And the idea is that, why are they pushing gender and sex into an issue about remembrance? The poppy, if you know anything about the history of the poppy is symbolic of, the red is symbolic of the blood that was lost in the war. The green is representative of the land where the blood was lost. The black is representative of the widows who mourn the people who died in the war. And so there's a lot of symbolism within the traditional poppy. And for them to come out with this new poppy with LGBTQ stuff is, just creates division when there really wasn't any. The poppy itself is symbolic of all people who fought in war to protect our rights. So that's the original story there, the controversy about that. And I'll give you the facts of the situation. So the first thing is to go over the story here. What happened was, there was two girls who, during one of their choir teachers said, hey, we should all wear the rainbow poppy instead of the traditional poppy, just to support gays and lesbians that fought in the war. And that's what originally happened. And they weren't forced to wear it, as the school administration later said, that they weren't forced to wear this thing, but these two girls thought, on a moral reason, that this was disrespectful for those who served in the war, and that they should just wear the traditional poppy. So the girls created a flyer that they posted throughout the school, saying that they should not wear the rainbow poppy, and that nobody should wear it, because they should just all wear the traditional poppy. And they quoted the explanation that I gave of the different colors symbolizing different things. And they also quoted several people's commentary from Twitter or wherever, from social media, on why they shouldn't wear this poppy. They should stick with the traditional poppy. So that was what happened. Okay, so they posted that, and they went to class, and later the school administration called them into the office, and they were suspended. Now, there was a little bit of stuff that happened in between, where when they were called into the office, one of the girls was trying to do like a Lindsay Shepherd thing, where she brought her cell phone into the office and tried to record the exchange between the principal and herself. And what happened was, the phone was discovered and they confiscated it. So the girl wasn't allowed to protect herself by recording the conversation. So the reason the girls were suspended, based on the administration's explanation, was for hate speech. That the flyer that they had posted was hateful, and that it disrespected gays and trans people, and therefore was hate speech, and was hurting or harming the potential gays and lesbians and so forth within the school. Now, I'm going to read the original poster. Let's see if I can find it here. Just going to look around here. One sec here. Just bear with me as I try to find it. I'm just going to do a quick Google search. And images, here it is. Okay, so here's the actual flyer itself. Never seen something so disrespectful in all my days. What does LGBTQ have to do with the war? Red represents blood, black represents the widows and the loved ones, green represents the land the blood was spilled on. Never change the poppy. On a way to undo centuries of blood, sweat, and tears, all because you needed to do the dishes. Keep it in your pants. Nobody wants or needs to see it. You've got the whole month dedicated to LGBTQ community, but the people who legitimately made a difference and died so that they could live decent lives have one day. You don't need a poppy. You just clearly want attention. One day to remember the real heroes, and how about we don't make it about your sexuality for once. If you don't make such a big deal about it and force people to make it part of their lives, there would be no problems. Okay? So this is what the flyer said. And these aren't their opinions even. It was comments from other people about the poppy. Okay, so they had just found these comments and they decided to post those. Okay, so that's the basic story, that the girls were suspended, and they were suspended based on their actions and hate speech. Now, personally, I don't see anything that was hateful or disrespectful within their thing. Even the comments that they posted, some are a little bit critical about gays and lesbians, but for the most part, it's really about protecting the poppy, and the fact that the poppy really does symbolize all people, whether they're straight, gay, or whatever. It symbolizes all those who had lost their lives in the war. So, in all of our wars, I should say. So the point is, that's the original story. But now we got a new story that's coming out. And it comes out from the mainstream media. Now the mainstream media wants to spin this. That they want to spin it in such a way that they want to say, well, there is no poppy that is of all this controversy. That that it's just the right wings, these evil right wing people who try to make a story when there really wasn't one. And they try to spin it in such a way to say the right wing media is fake news. So how does that story work? So if you read the title here, titles did not ask students to wear the rainbow poppies. Manitoba School Board. Okay, so the school did not comment on the alleged student suspensions. So already within this story, they're saying that the students were allegedly suspended. The fact is they were suspended. They were suspended until after Remembrance Day because of posting this flyer based on the concept of hate speech. So already they're trying to spin it where they're saying alleged. No, there's no alleging here. They were suspended. So the next thing is, wearing the red poppy on Remembrance Day is a tradition lasted for decades. It has served as a visual memorial to veterans who have sacrificed their lives in wartime. But some Canadians have taken offense to the rainbow poppies, which have been described as multicolored version of the poppy that honors LGBTQ plus veterans. Reports circulated on right-wing outlets. Now, whenever you see something like right-wing outlets, they're already trying to create a little spin there that anyone that doesn't agree with us is right-wing and extremist, and they love to kind of paint the picture that way. That 2 students from high school in Manitoba were suspended for refusing to follow their choir teacher's demand to wear rainbow poppies. Coverage is misinformation, school board. So now they're trying to connect it. So the two girls, one of them was connected to this conservative MP who was never actually an MP. She ran for the conservative nomination, not conservative nomination, but MP, to become an MP of Churchill. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. She ran for it and lost. So the point is, this, they're trying to connect it to a conservative, and therefore, then it's just, for them, it's fake news just to make that connection. So let's continue on here. So the school released a statement addressing the coverage about the high school. Interlake School Division made it clear that no student in the district had been ordered to wear the poppy. So the issue is not that the girls were ordered to wear the poppy. And if you look at the conservative media, they actually don't make that the issue. The issue for conservative media was that the girls were suspended for hate speech. And that's really the story. But the way that they're trying to spin it here is to say, oh, the girls weren't suspended because they were forced to wear the poppy. So they're trying to spin it in such a way that's to discredit the I guess right-wing media, to discredit them for saying that these girls were suspended for not wearing the poppy when they were forced to wear the poppy. That's not really what was happening. So then they show the tweets by the school board where they said that they weren't forced to wear the poppy. But the truth is that they were suspended. They were suspended, and they were suspended for hate speech. And that is the issue that people find offensive here. That why is it that these young girls who are voicing their opinion, actually they even really voiced their own opinion. They copied other people's opinions about it that they agreed with, and they posted that. They posted other people's opinions on why the poppy should remain as the traditional poppy. And for that, it was called hate speech, and for that they were suspended. So that's really what the conservative media is really trying to explain, that this is against free speech, and it's also against maintaining the traditions of the poppy. However, there was no proof. This is according to Huffington Post. There was no proof that the rainbow poppies were being sold in Canada, and the school board denies suspensions have occurred. Now that's actually false, what they're saying here. So the girls were suspended until after Remembrance Day. And yes, the poppies weren't being sold, but that's not really the issue. If the choir teacher was successful in her demands of the children, they would have just ordered the poppies outside of Canada. You can ship across borders. It's a pretty easy thing to do. You go to the internet, you can order things across the border, and they could have imported those poppies. So it doesn't matter that they weren't being sold in Canada. You can still order them. So yeah, it's kind of funny. So then they tried to say that Natalie's father, which was one of the girls, has refuted the right-wing coverage too, alleging she was suspended specifically for hate speech. Again, that's not contradictory. So they try to make it sound like it's contradictory to what the conservative media is saying, that she wasn't suspended for not wearing the poppy, but she was suspended for hate speech. Well, that's not what conservative media is saying. We are agreeing that she was suspended for hate speech. So there's no doubt about that. Okay, both sides actually agree on that, but they're trying to spin it to make it sound like, oh, it's fake news, that the conservative media is trying to say that she was suspended for not wanting to wear the poppy. Well, that's not what they're saying. They're saying that she was suspended for hate speech, and they disagree with the fact that this is being called hate speech. personally, I really hate the concept of hate speech because hate speech could be all speech. Anything that somebody doesn't agree with could be considered hate speech. So it's such a bogus thing. We either have free speech or we don't. There's no in between on this. And the concept of hate speech is just silly. But again, this is something that they really try to push, that they want hate speech laws because hate speech laws allow them to control people's speech. And that's really what's happening here. So this is the story. This is there's much more to it. But the point is, the media, the mainstream media, is trying to spin three narratives. One, they're trying to spin that the concept that what they call right-wing media or conservative media is, being triggered, that they're just being, they're so thin-skinned that they get triggered by these two girls, getting suspended. That's the first thing. Then they try to spin it to say, well, no, the girls really weren't suspended. And then they try to spin it again and say that, no, they weren't really suspended for not refusing to wear the poppy. They were suspended for hate speech. So which is it? They said they weren't suspended, but they were suspended for this. It's like their story is not really clear. It doesn't make sense. The Huffington Post and all these other mainstream media, and CBC did the same thing as well. So the point is, it's kind of weird that they do that. The other thing that they're trying to spin is there's actually a whole thing where they're saying that the rainbow poppy actually it's not about LGBTQ, it's about the natural states of the poppy in nature, that the poppy goes through many different colors and those colors are just natural. No, that's totally bogus. The poppy never goes through a rainbow stage. The original rainbow poppy was designed to show support for any LGBTQ people that were serving in the war. And really, it defeats the purpose of the poppy. The poppy is actually very inclusive because it includes all people who served in the war. So that's the other spin that they're trying to do. They also talk about the fact one more final spin that they try to put in is that the poppy, this rainbow poppy, was not popularized in Canada, and it was never really sold in Canada. It was featured on a British site. It was sold on eBay as well, and it was sold mainly there. And there was so much backlash that it never became a popular sell. So that's probably true, but that's not the point. The point is what the real story is, that the girls were suspended for their commentary against the rainbow poppy. So they try to spin it where all these things are slightly true. Sure, they have some truth to them, but they're trying to muddy the waters, and so that people don't see that really what people are upset about is two things. One, these girls shouldn't have been suspended for their commentary supporting the traditional poppy. And number two is that these girls should be, actually seen as heroes for defending the poppy, and that the traditional poppy is important to maintain, that the traditional poppy symbolizes all those who fought in the war and died for protecting our rights. These are the true heroes of our country, that they gave their lives for us. So that's what people are really offended by, and it's something that it's interesting to see that there's all these elements to a very simple story. It could have been one thing, but now the media is really trying to take it and spin it and control the narrative in such a way that it discredits what really happened. And I think that in itself is a major story. So it was actually interesting. If you read the comments on this Huffington Post article, you'll read that, you'll see all these people from the left posting how, the right-wing media is, you know, manufactured outrage of the right, you know, all this kind of stuff where they, you know, kind of get all upset about right-wing media when they don't really understand the truth about what right-wing media or conservative media actually said about the whole story. So it's effective that they really try to control the media, the narrative, and the media really tries to brainwash people into believing something that's just totally not true. So this has been Socially Triggered, a bit of a long rant, but I kind of wanted to go through all the points of this story and try to clarify all the misinformation that they're trying to put out there about this story. And hopefully I've done a reasonably good job of that. I will also link to the interviews on Rebel News, because they actually do a very good you know, whole interview with the girls that were involved, with the parents and the school board, and they sort of cover all sides of the story to really give you a sense of what actually happened. So this has been Socially Triggered. Please leave a like, comment, and subscription to me. And I'd love to hear comments about this, because what do you think? Should we allow for LGBTQ friendly poppy, or should we just celebrate the traditional poppy? Or what do you think about the girls? Do you think they should have been suspended for hate speech? Do we have the right to comment against something that we feel is unjust? So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things here, and I'd like to hear your feedback. Thank you. Bye for now.